PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of PharmaPhobic, where we help you achieve the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. This is brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle. As always, guys, I'm here with my lovely companion.
Yes.
Lovely podcast co-host. And always special guest in our hearts, in my life.
In our hearts.
Janie Brown, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Hi, everyone. Hi. All right.
Okay. So today we are going to get right into the meat and potatoes of the business. What are we talking about?
Sleep.
Yeah. We talking sleepy sleep. Everybody's like, well, I know how to sleep. I just put my head down on my pillow and go to sleep. No, you do not know how to sleep anymore. You used to know how to sleep when you were like a child, but we've ruined that with our modern lifestyles. So we are going to figure out how to reclaim that today. And we're going to get a little specific here. We're going to talk a little bit.
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into sleep. There's a lot of different ways to approach optimizing sleep, getting more efficient sleep. So we're just going to start by talking about one specific neuropeptide that impacts sleep, but then that's going to show how what our pillars are with Achieve the Lifestyle, our foundational things that we work on, which is stress management, nutrition, exercise, social connections, can all impact your sleep.
Yeah, so I think people put sleep in this separate category. You know, I'm talking about the layman's here, the average person just thinking about health and stuff. They're like, yeah, I got to sleep. And they put it on an island, right? And people find it easier to understand how nutrition and exercise are related to health and how they're related to each other. But people have a hard time understanding how all of that, what you getting exposure to the outdoors, who you talk to during the day, what you eat during the day, what kind of workouts are you doing, affect your sleep.
Yeah.
And how your sleep can affect all of that. So we're going to kind of delve
it's
into
all, as I say often, it's all very beautifully and frustratingly connected. Yeah. And a delicate balance.
And things like changing body composition and things like that are highly affected by sleep. People think that I'm doing all the right stuff, but your sleep is, how do I say this?
Trash.
Hot dookie. And you're you're not seeing the changes you want to see, but it's okay, you're eating right, this and that, but your sleep is terrible. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That lever is going to be way harder to turn.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too with weight loss. When people are like, I can't lose weight. And, a lot of medical providers won't ask about sleep or talk about sleep. And if you're like, well, sleep has nothing to do with my weight, then tell me why Zepbound is approved for sleep apnea.
Oh, we ain't ready for that conversation.
Right. And so it's all connected. It's all connected. Your metabolism, your sleep, it's all connected. And so we were, you just want to get into it, or you need to give any updates?
No, we can get right into it. I think this conversation arose from that Holy Health class we were doing. So
those of you who don't know, we do a lifestyle ministry at our church, and we call it Holy Health. You have to say it like that.
Yeah, but the exclamation mark is part of it.
And this past session that we had with them, we talked about sleep. Because like I said, everyone wants to talk about nutrition and exercise. And usually those sessions we have, they're open platform. We let the people attending kind of lead us where we want to go. But as I started, this beautiful thing is when we start talking about sleep, we can talk about nutrition. We can talk about exercise. We can talk about stress management because it's all involved with it. And when I was refreshing myself and researching some talking points, I came across a neuropeptide called orexin. Now, I've heard of this as a dutiful, conventional PA. I know when you say orexin, I say Belsomra, right? Because that's a sleep med that binds to orexin receptors to make you sleep. And that's my problem with conventional medicine is I know more about drugs than I know about the actual process. Or I know more about drugs than to actually use lifestyle to correct things or to prevent things, which is, to me, a huge hole in my education, which I have and I'm still trying to patch up. And so what is orexin? Do you know what orexin is?
You're going to school me. Here's the funny thing about this, parentheses. When we started that, we planned that class, I thought it was like, oh, we're just going to kill this in like a couple minutes. So let's have other backup topics to fill in the remainder of the time. And it just turned, it amazed me how like the rabbit hole of sleep, you know, how it's very deep. And obviously there's all these connections to everything else related to health, to all the other pillars and all this stuff. And I was like, man, this stuff is really like a linchpin of health, is having that sleep, getting that thing right.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not unlike,
and how many questions people had about it too.
Right. It's not unlike exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just say you go into the doctor and you're like, you're at your annual exam and they're giving you general counseling. They say you need to exercise more. You need to sleep more. But then it's like, same thing with, I need to exercise more, but like, how? How do I fit that into my schedule? What type of exercise? How much should I do? If I can't, I have a bad knee, so what modifications do I need to make? Okay, you need to sleep more. Okay, well, I have trouble falling asleep, so how do I do that? Or I can't stay asleep, so or I snore a lot and I wake up a lot. Like, what do I, so it's so easily brushed over, just do more of it, but not how.
Yeah, and how many people are writing off sleep issues?
And how many people crave to know more?
Yeah. Well, and me thinking as a veteran, I'm like, oh yeah, we got sleep issues. Every last one of us. Like, I'm surprised when veterans tell me that they sleep well. I'm just no edibles, no Ambien, nothing. You just sleeping well. Like Jake surprised me with that, but then it made sense when he started explaining, his circadian rhythm stuff, and I'm like, yeah, nailed it.
Yeah.
Right. So. When I hear regular people with sleep issues, I'm very surprised. And the amount of people with sleep issues is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's like a rising thing too.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely it is. And there's a lot that is involved in it. And one of the things is this constant artificial light.
Oh,
right.
Deity.
And the reason why I'm going to say it, because a lot of people, when we as humans, we can see something happen in nature and understand it. Like if something happens to an animal, like we understand it. And a lot of y'all are out there taking better care of your dogs and cats than you are yourself, just to be honest. And so when I make an example or a reference to an animal, a lot of people grasp it better. So that's what I did at the Holy Health. I said, we need to be mindful of our light. Like I'm thinking about getting like little red light lamps, like to put in our house instead of using overhead lights.
Only go in the floor light.
But, if you look at sea turtles, because we're in Southeast Florida, so sea turtles, very apparent. If you look at the sea turtles, the baby sea turtles are having a lot more issue because when they hatch on the beach, what makes them go to the ocean? Typically, it's the moonlight. So they go towards the moonlight. But now all these condos and high rises are being put right on the beach, and they're lit, right? They have the street lights and things like that. And they're lit.
Okay.
They're lit. Okay. And now the sea turtles are like, but which way do I go? So they're confused. So a lot of them aren't getting into the ocean. That puts them at higher risk of predators. Fortunately, there's a lot of organizations that help, they take up the sea turtles that didn't make it. They rehab them, get them stronger, help redirect them the next night. Anyway. And so when I made that example, people were like, yeah, I know that. And I know about the sea turtle babies, but you aren't turning off your lights and making your house cool, dark, and quiet before bed. Why? Okay. Anyway. So went off on that a little bit and that didn't make as much sense as I wanted.
And we're going to go back around there.
So orexin is a neuropeptide.
Spell that out for people.
orexin.
Okay. So people
orexin.
Yep.
Am I saying it wrong? Orexin? No.
Orexin?
No.
Orexin.
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 It's Puerto Rican. Orexin.
Okay. So it's Oscar, Romeo, Echo, Xavier, India, November. Still good on my phonetic. Okay.
I saw this meme, about, it's like you're a military wife, but you still haven't gotten the alphabet. So she's like, my last name is Rosa, rotisserie chicken, Oregon Trail. Like, it's funny. Anyway. Okay. So it's a neuropeptide. It's produced in the hypothalamus. So that's, deep in your brain. That's when you think about hypothalamus, you think about HPA, so hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, HPO, hypothalamus, pituitary, ovaries. So that has to do a lot with our stress response, reproduction, hormones, things like that. Okay. So produced in the hypothalamus, and it regulates this neuropeptide orexin regulates arousal, wakefulness, and appetite. Okay. And it's made up of amino acids. What do amino acids make? Or how do we get amino acids as humans? We make some our own.
Oh, protein.
Protein. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
protein.
A little foreshadowing of why diet matters. All right. Orexin receives input from our environment. So it's environmental factors, light, dark, psychological. Am I thinking about stuff? Am I stressed? And then emotional. Am I happy, sad? Okay. And then orexin will then project message to your entire central nervous system. So that's, pretty powerful little guy. Now, this neuropeptide is dubbed the multitasking, right? And so if I say multitasking, who do you think has more orexin, men or women? Women, yes.
I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. And so this is going to go back to how we evolved. Orexin played a huge part in the differentiation between, or a huge part in our survival and why, the role of women versus the role of men. Now, some people may be offended by this, right? Because I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. But I do think if we lean into how we evolved or how we were made, you will have more peace. Okay. All right. So it's the multitasking neuropeptide. It helps regulate sleep-wake states, feeding behavior, so seeking, foraging for food, energy balance in your body, reward system, your cognition, and your mood. So it influences all of that, right? And so orexin, back when we were like living, in small tribes, think of if you want to think of caves, around a fire, hunter-gatherer, things like that. It promoted movement to seek and find food, to stay awake during the day, and to learn and remember things. So it helps with spatial awareness. It helps with memory. So, hey, I know if you go past the river and towards this giant tree, you'll find a berry bush. And so we're always going to go there. So that sort of remembering, right? Makes sense. Okay. Or you remember the movement patterns of this herd of moose or elk come through this passageway every winter. I don't know, Yeah, so you just remember these things to help with food. Okay. Now, men versus women is women have higher, like I said, higher orexin system activity. And why? Why? Okay. Because we are the ones who carry the children. We are the ones who birth the children, and we are the ones who help the child survive for, the first few years by feeding them, protecting them. Men are more likely in this type of setting to be going out and either finding food or fighting. Okay. And so the reason why women have a higher orexin system activity is because we need increased sensitivity to stress. All right. Now think about that in modern times. We have increased sensitivity to stress. Stress is everywhere now. It's not just a rogue animal coming to invade our little community. It's not, it's traffic, it's emails, it's social media, it's comparison. You comparing yourself against others, especially on social media. It's, all these things that we've created in today's environment that are little pokes of stress throughout the day.
So wait, you saying y'all stress more than us?
Don't ask something you know the answer to.
I just wanted to hear you say it. I just wanted to hear you say it.
And so this is interesting because another thing that orexin does for women, it increases our sensitivity to stress, and it doesn't let us habituate stress. It doesn't let us get used to it. So men, when you tell women, get over it, it keeps happening, just get over, we can't. We're not supposed to. And why is that? Because give me an animal that would come sneak into the night and harm your child.
Freaking mountain lion.
A mountain lion. If a mountain lion comes and tries to, the men are off fighting, whatever, or maybe they're just asleep because we know men can just knock out and be gone, right? A mountain lion comes in the night and there's small children. You need to wake up. Okay, the mountain lion's gone off again, but then they're going to try again and again and again. We need to be ready again and again and again. Where men, because they go off and fight, they have a decreased sensitivity to stress so that they are able to not be in a heightened sense of worry or panic, and they can just fight and not, have that emotional distraction.
We'd burn out, I guess, if we were stressing all the time like
Exactly.
that, which happens.
Yeah.
Some guys do that. They don't have a good response to it, and if they burn out quickly.
We as women need to be ready for repeated threats, always aware, always on, to protect our young, to protect our environment for when the men are out. Men, they need to be able to accustom to stresses due to hunting and fighting, because they need to maintain focus. Now, if you're stressed and scared, the logical part of your brain's not able to fire as clearly. And so
this is like, we're talking here like in the nature state, right? Like what would be everything we talk about, we're kind of pointing back to a state that's closer to our natural state before we injected, homes with hard walls and gates and all this stuff and digital stuff.
So I'm taking us back to how it originally, how we evolved to work.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I want you
the original function of your body.
Yeah. Because our brains haven't gotten past that.
Yeah, and we've injected all this modern, and a lot of people talk about this, that modern times, have exponentially increased in modern and affected our lifestyle, but our software, the way we were programmed, the way we were created, has not adapted, quote unquote. And we don't want it to adapt because we become unhealthier. The more we fit ourselves into the modern lifestyle, into the modern framework, and we step away from the original design, the unhealthier we get, right? So we're acknowledging, hey, this is how it would work if we were out in nature and we were kind of living in the wild, quote unquote. This is how your body's going to work, right? So, okay.
And so because women have a higher activity of orexin, we then can have higher stress-related disorders, because the stress cycle can't be completed when it's constant barrage of stress throughout the day. A lot of people aren't aware of their chronic stressed state. So then we're talking like anxiety, depression, panic disorder, sleep disorders, eating disorders. So higher orexin activity can lead to more of binge eating tendencies, because orexin wants us to seek food. And in women, depending on where you are in your cycle, hormones can influence this. We want fat storage because pregnancy, birthing, lactation, those are all very high caloric demand states. And so, we want to seek food to have storage for that, okay? Now, an interesting thing I found out about orexin, because I started looking at what are the other differences between men and women. Orexin can help with pain sensitivity, and women have less pain sensitivity and men have more. Think of women versus men in soccer. Okay.
Ooh, don't get me started, girl. You're going to send me down a rant right here.
So men have a higher pain sensation. So just think, watching like soccer, they like maybe get kicked in the shin and they're like, ah. When a woman can get straight punched on the soccer field and they just keep playing. All right.
Controversial take here. Men shouldn't play soccer anymore. Just saying. Okay, go ahead. It's no longer a man sport.
So also with getting sick, with getting a cold, women, we're like, oh, I got a cold, I got to power through. Men are like, cancel everything. I have a sniffle. I'm dying.
I've never done that a day in my life.
False.
I don't think, when?
False. Okay.
Girl, I'm a trooper.
Okay. Keep telling yourself that. Why is this? Why is that? Injury prevention. Men are off fighting, men are off hunting. They're going to want to, as soon as something hurts a little bit, they're going to take pause because they need to keep going. So they can't do something that's going to completely take them out. Okay? All right. And
also women, childbirth, obviously.
yeah.
And you hear you guys can handle the pain of childbirth. Maybe, maybe not. And I always thank God that I'm a man.
Okay. I mentioned earlier that with the multitasking of orexin, it hits on the reward system. This helps men take more risks because they need to take risks for hunting, fighting, right? However, in modern day society with things like opioids, fentanyl, just drugs that are readily available everywhere, the orexin can lead to that addiction cycle because when you do drugs, it lights up the reward center of your brain, and now orexin can help you drive to seek that reward out again and again and again. Okay? Now, orexin, you can have issues like on an autoimmune level. They don't quite understand why some people may have a higher affinity for orexin or higher levels versus a lower affinity versus lower levels. If you have super low deficiency in orexin, think of things like narcolepsy. Like you can't stay awake during the day, okay? But those are not the general population. Now, the general population is more like I mentioned, your environmental factors are affecting the orexin. And so orexin can cause sleep issues. If you have high orexin, you're more likely going to have insomnia, because orexin wants you to be awake, alert, find food, okay? To optimize orexin, or for it to be optimal, we have a great circadian rhythm. We're awake during the day, we're asleep at night. We're alert during the day, we're resting at night. So a lot of people will bastardize that cycle for scrolling on the phone, watching TV, staying up late, taking stimulants too late in the day, whether it be pharmaceutical drugs, ripping some cocaine at night, or having too late of coffee, or maybe a really stimulating activity that keeps you awake, being on your phone, having bright light right in your face as you're trying to go to bed. That can disrupt your circadian rhythm, which will then disrupt the orexin.
You've been having too many lights on in your house.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like LED highlights like that, that'll mess you up.
And orexin influences your appetite. Like I said, it promotes food-seeking behavior, especially when the body is energy deficient, okay? Meaning you're eating 1,000 calories a day and you're working out. 1,000 calories a day is not enough food, and you're demanding more than that from your body. Therefore, when you try to go to sleep, your body's like, I don't have enough energy or nutrients. We need to get up, find food. So you're not going to be like, oh, I need to find food. It's going to be like, oh, I just can't fall asleep. Or you fall asleep and then you wake up and you're like, I'm just so restless. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. Let's dive into that, because I always say that when I onboard women and we talk about, hey, we're going to work out, and I always want to hear about nutrition. And obviously, we ask about sleep and all that stuff, but it is not uncommon for me to hear from women that they have a hard time sleeping. Oh, yeah. I can't stay asleep. Yeah, I'll fall asleep quick, but I'll be up this many times at night. I'm like, is it you're going to the bathroom? Is it? No, not really. I'm just tossing and turning. And it's been a thing for years. And then when we lay out the nutrition, it's like, you are not eating anywhere near enough. It's like, it sounds like I skip breakfast, have coffee only, or I have this tiny little bagel little thing from Starbucks or whatever. And then lunch is a salad with like maybe 2 ounces of protein. And then I might have dinner or whatever. And that's it. and it's like 1,000 calories. So I can see it's like, okay, you're not eating enough.
And I'm not saying
the first thing that goes in women tends to be sleep. Like men could mess all these things up and they might still be sleeping halfway decent. But in women, that's the first thing that goes. And then you start seeing stubborn, I'm storing fat in all these weird places. I'm doing all this stuff, but I can't lose weight. All this chronic stress that comes from that. Whereas men, it takes a little longer for the wheels to fall off. This orexin rabbit hole kind of explains it, right?
And this is just one aspect of it, right? I'm not saying that orexin is the only driver of you not sleeping.
No, this is one factor.
Yes, just one thing. But when I talk about, well, how do we try to optimize our orexin balance and how do we you're going to see why I brought this up.
So now you see the first link there.
Yeah.
Nutrition.
And so one thing that I talked about at the Holy Health thing is that your body needs energy during sleep. Your body burns calories during sleep. Now, don't try to biohack this. Don't try to be like, I'm going to burn so many calories during sleep. No. It's a natural process. Just let it happen. Okay. Meaning that your brain clears out, it cleans out, it sorts memories. It does things when you're sleeping. If you sleep well, that requires energy. If you're trying to restrict so much, whether it's from sheer willpower, an eating disorder, or you're, what did that teenager in jiu-jitsu say? Pinning them peptides, right? So pinning means injecting, I guess. I don't know. But if you're doing that and you're decreasing your caloric intake significantly, it is going to lead to disruptive sleep because you cannot hijack the survival processes of your body.
Yeah. And guys,
if you can, then just, hold your breath for 5 minutes with no practice. See what happens.
Well, and a lot of these stuffs like, clearing the trash out of your brain, storing memories, these are metabolic processes. You'll find that everything comes back to your metabolism, right? So if you're shutting it down with a low caloric state and you're kicking it into oblivion by burning out with crazy workouts and not eating enough and all this other stuff, metabolic processes are going to work less and less. They're going to be less and less efficient, right?
Yep.
Storing memories, dreaming, clearing amyloid from your brain, like all this other, it's metabolically driven, right? Something here that I heard yesterday, I was listening to a podcast and this lady was kind of going in on this, they're talking Alzheimer's, dementia, that sort of thing. It seems like obviously the projections for Alzheimer's and dementia are ridiculous. They're saying 1 in 3 by the year 2050 will have this. This is insanity. But we can talk about later what's driving that aside from nutrition. But she's saying that the rise is mostly driven by women. That a lot of women are ending up with dementia. And now we talk about this, this orexin rabbit hole and sleep being compromised. That is a big driver, a big risk factor for dementia is chronic sleep issues.
Yeah. And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chocolates has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chocolates. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chocolates.com and use code JaneBrown to snag 10% off your order. Things that disrupt orexin. I've kind of talked about this, but I want to get into it because it's then it's like, well, how do we support? Okay, so chronic stress can disrupt orexin. Now, chronic stress disrupts a lot of things. And what people don't understand is that chronic stress is harmful. Temporary stress is good. And what do I mean by temporary stress? Exercise is a temporary stress, right? Especially if you allow yourself to recover. Now, all you high rocks people who now replace CrossFit people who are working out 6-7 days a week, even though you're exercising for like an hour or two at a time, you're not allowing yourself to recover. That becomes then chronic stress because you're not allowing adequate recovery.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, and that's a good example because of the volume of work.
Yes.
But, you could F45 yourself to death too. You could hot works yourself to death too.
So chronic stress can suppress orexin, which then leads to things like depression, or it can heighten it, which leads to things like insomnia. Now, everybody's a little bit different. You know, the people, when they're under a lot of stress, they get just kind of withdrawn and blah, and, they don't really want to do anything. Or you get the people who are under a lot of stress and are like, oh my God, I have to get everything done. I can't sleep, right? So people can go either way, all right? Another disruptor of orexin is metabolic and food signals. Increased protein. Get you some protein.
It's some protein.
Increased protein intake, there we go, activates orexin and decreases overall food intake specific to protein. Because protein is satiating, so orexin, I get more protein in my diet. Orexin's like, hey, you're awake. Let's be awake, but you're satisfied, so we don't need to seek for food, but we want to keep you awake. So optimizing your diet can influence orexin. If you're eating high sugar, low protein, your body's going to continue to seek out and try to find food, okay? Orexin helps, interesting like this, orexin helps with increasing lean mass and decreasing fat mass. So you want to have optimal orexin levels if you want to have good body composition, which goes to adequate sleep, good body composition. And that's more with influencing energy storage versus getting up and moving around. Because if you have normal levels of orexin, it stimulates spontaneous activity to get up and move around. That is, akin to going and seeking and finding food. Okay.
So it's a ride, like a wake and sleep cycle is more, it's optimized.
So orexin is more for your awake.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Circadian mismatch can disrupt orexin. So think about shift workers. You work nights, you work second shift, or unfortunately, I know some people, they go through rotations of I work first shift for a while, second shift, and then third shift, and then start over again. So that disruption of I go to bed at the same time, I wake up at the same time, and staying consistent with that, which we all want to try to do, that the disruption in that can just really throw your body off.
Man, shift work is insane what it does to you. So if you're out there and you're a shift, first responders, popo, people that just happen, doctors
Providers,
that work,
especially
that work night
like labor and
nurses,
delivery you have
ER,
to
all of that stuff. Man, you have to be like your efforts have to be double in intensity to actually stay in good health, because it is the most unnatural and unhealthiest thing to work a reverse cycle.
Yep. All right. So then didn't just want to dump all this on you and just be like, everything you do can disrupt orexin, right? So how do we support it?
Now, for my understanding, girl, you make that face.
I was like on the runway ready to take off, and then you just halted me.
Well, because I'm trying to walk with me now. I'm trying to keep people in this. It's funny because guys, if you're listening, men, you probably heard the face that she just made at me. And if you're watching, then you could see it, and dudes would be like, yeah, I know that face. I know that face. If you're married, especially if you have a significant other. What I was going to say, women have higher levels of orexin, right?
Not necessarily higher levels, but more activity.
Like a more sensitive.
So it didn't. So from what I saw, it didn't say necessarily more orexin, but maybe there's more receptors, or maybe it's more active, just higher activity.
And they're more sensitive to the fluctuations in it.
Not more sensitive, but we respond. Orexin doesn't let us habituate stress, so it's like a new thing every time.
Okay, so less you guys handle stress.
So I don't know how it does that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are more sensitive. That makes sense. That can be, it's like you're more sensitive to stress.
Which, because if you think about it in modern times, like we can use you and I, for example, because I'll 100% admit I get stressed out about things more often than you do.
Ooh,
right?
I'm Dan the Bull, just mellow.
And so, but I think that that's a great balance between us, because a lot of times, let's take travel, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to get to the airport on time. What if, TSA, I don't know, takes me into a room, like that's it's never going to happen. Like, it's never happened.
You really?
So,
this goes through your mind.
Yeah.
This is so crazy.
Yeah.
What are you carrying, bricks or something like this? Are you?
Well, one time I came back with a pound of coffee in my suitcase, and they thought it was it looked like it was suspicious, and I'm like, it's coffee.
Oh my god.
But anyway, so let's take travel. So I'm worried about getting there on time, getting parking, getting through TSA. Does the gate exist? Did my passport blow up in my bag in the car and it's disappeared? Right. So these things, I'm like, ugh. And so this is where I love you, and this is where we're a good balance, because I'll be like, Dan, are we okay on time? And you'll look at the time, you're like, yeah, we're fine. And I'm like, okay, right? When he starts to freak out on time, I'm gone, because so let's just think about that though. That makes sense if we take my response versus your response in traveling and put us in a tribal situation where I have like me and other women in the tribe or whatever have like 3 or 4 kids, and you and the other men are off. Wouldn't you want me to be?
Yeah,
oh, what's that? Oh my gosh, are the kids okay? Are they
also? I'm thinking
know?
about when people report issues in their house, like a break-in. 9 out of 10, it's the woman that wakes the dude up and like, hey, what was that? And the dude's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, yes. I heard something. And dude's like, okay, time to spark into action. But it made me think about that, because, yes, 9 out of 10, it's like the woman waking up the dude like, hey, I heard something.
Where that's a great example of how it habituates, because just think about that. When you move into a new place or you're sleeping in a new place, you don't sleep as well because there's new noises, right? You get used to them. And then you're like, oh, that's the air conditioner kicking on, or that's the dog, or, that's whatever, right? Women, we don't, because we're like, oh, okay, air conditioner. Like, oh, wait, we can't get used to it as easily.
Or even a newborn baby too. That's
that
the
reason
other
too.
one wakes you up.
Wakes up, where men can get used to it after a while more easily. I'm not saying like 100%. Women, we don't, because we're not meant to. Now, I'm not saying that use this as an excuse to be stress balls, manage your stuff. But I'm just saying, if we recognize it and we're aware of it, we can give ourselves some grace, and then that takes away the stress of being stressed about why we're stressed, okay? All right. How do you support balanced orexin levels? All right, get a pen and paper. This is going to be shocking, revolutionary, new information. It's not. It's all the same stuff we talk about all the time. Okay? This is why I wanted to bring this up.
No. This stuff is brand new. Nobody's ever talked about this before. Come on now. This is brand new, guys. This is newer than the peptides that everybody wants to take. Come on now. Let's go.
Getting a consistent sleep-wake cycle. There's a lot of studies that show even if you can't get as much sleep as you want, which is common, it's common in this household, going to bed and waking at the same time, having a pattern. Think about with your kids, you make a pattern of let's go to bed. This is your bedtime. This is your wake time. Maintaining that as an adult is huge. Yeah. It's huge.
You do that with your kids on the weekends, even when they have no school, you still put them down at the same time that
Yeah,
they would go.
I have seen that some sleep specialists say on the weekends or on like your off days, try not to sleep in more than like an hour to maintain that regular pattern. But then I've also seen a lot of people make up sleep where you can. And so there's a lot of conflicting stuff out there. Do the best you can, right? If you can keep to a sleep schedule 7 days a week, great. If not, 5 days a week, great. So just do within your means. Morning sunlight. How many times have we talked about that?
So we talk circadian rhythm is crucial to how your body functions. Like, I mean, we're talking about hormone production. We're talking about, digestion. I mean, everything is affected by circadian rhythm. Morning sunlight. If you have the kind of schedule that allows you to see the first light of the day. I'm not talking about you have to be out there literally at the crack when the sun is cracking the horizon, crack of dawn. But if you can get out there in that first light and get some light in your eyes, okay, no sunglasses, guys. If you have a backyard or you have a nice balcony and you can get out there like, no shirt or whatever and shorts and boom and hit that first light is crucial. If it's cold, and you can get out there and do a little walk and see that first light, you have to. Crucial, because this is going to prepare your body for the rest of your day, for forever and ever. Amen. Okay? Yeah.
If you wake up early in the morning, you're like, okay, well, you just told me to keep a consistent sleep-wake cycle. If I consistently have to wake up at 4 a.m., no, like, unless you're like in Alaska where the sun just has been up, no sun's coming up at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
That's your boy. That's me.
Watch somebody be like, well, actually in Russia, the sun rises at 4 a.m. Okay, I'm talking about in the U.S. You can't get morning sunlight. Turning lights on in your house can help. Getting a red light, shining red light, which we need to get back into that habit.
Yeah, like a red light panel. Yeah, like infrared light.
Yeah, because that's what's in the morning light is red light. That's what we want, okay?
Pause.
Sunlight's best.
Yes, thank you, because I don't want people buying infrared light panels and then the sun, they live in South Florida or Texas, nice places
but what
like
I'm
that,
saying,
California, and then you're like crowded along your red light panel when the sun is shining outside.
No, sun's optimal. I'm talking about if you shift work, you get up at 4 a.m., things like that.
Yep.
Because you just said, hey, if you're a shift worker and you're like this, you need to double down. This is doubling down.
Yep, that's double. So somebody like me where I'm usually waking up at 4 a.m. and then I'm working during the morning, during the light hours of that morning light, I'm usually coaching, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. By the time I'm able to get outside most days, it's already, the spectrum has shifted to more of the UV, middle of the day, that white and blue light type thing.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody, red light panels do help there. That's fire right there.
Yeah, if you need recommendations on where do I get that, let me know. I can direct you. Regular exercise. Interesting. Novel concept. Getting regular exercise helps support balanced orexin. Remember, orexin is the one like, hey, wake up, be awake. We need to communicate to the body bidirectional. Orexin is activated. Hey, I'm going to move and exercise during the day because this is the time where I'm active. And then there's a designated time where I'm not active. I'm not asleep. Okay. So same thing about light during the day because that's stimulating during the day. And we say don't do light at night, like as you're getting ready to go to bed, like on your phone, tablets, computer, TV. Same thing with exercise. Exercise during the day, in the middle of the night, you're not doing Taebo in the bed, okay? So same concept. Rest, cool, dark, quiet, still. Daytime. Bright lights, stimulus, movement, eating, okay?
Go back to the light for a second because I think we got to.
All the lights.
Yeah. It's fairly, it's a little bit more than just, I don't think people understand what's happening with the lights, right? Like if you get that morning sunlight, it produces, wow, why are my words? Melanin. It helps you produce melanin, which is protective, right?
Yeah.
Later from the later sun rays that you get later in the day, right? So it helps you, protect your skin from harmful rays of the sun. It's like your body's natural sunscreen, right?
People are looking at us. They're like, Janie gets no light.
No, this is my boo tan right now. She tan right now because she getting that morning sunlight. You are tan right now, girl. Don't let these people confuse you now. You think she's light. She go way lighter than that. This is tan Janie, okay? So, but that's that melanin. That's that melanin. So what is melanin? Real quick, what gives me this beautiful milk chocolatey, silky color? I have a lot of melanin, right? You know, obviously people of lighter complexion have less melanin, but your body can still produce it. Melanin, that's why darker complected people do not burn as easily in the sun because it protects you from that sun. If you get the morning light, your body produces more melanin. It protects you later in the day when you're in the middle of the day getting beat down by the sun. Hey, my melanin levels are higher because I'm constantly exposed to that morning light. My body's pumping. It protects you. So it'll take longer for you to burn if you are, or you might not even burn if you're really well sun adapted and you've been doing your diligence by getting in that morning light. Talking about later in the day, the sun, you know, there's a spectrum of light that the sun gives out, right? You know, more red in the morning, middle of the day, it's all combined, or call it white because it's everything, right? And then later at night, and you can see the colors in the sun changing, right? The later at night light, that signals your body to start producing serotonin, okay, which is the precursor to melatonin.
What?
And that means you're telling your body, night. Bedtime's coming. And that's why once you see that afternoon sun, that sunset, sunsets are beautiful. Y'all know this. Everybody innately, you know that you want to go see sunsets. I don't know anybody who hates a sunset. And if you do, just you need Jesus. Okay. But anyway, and don't ruin that by going in your house and having all these LEDs flashing at you and all these screens coming at you. You know, another thing that throws you off, people who have TVs in their bedroom and you lay in your bed to watch television and then you think you're going to go to sleep. Son, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I want to make this point too, because we had a woman at the Holy Health say, if I lay in bed, I cannot sleep because my mind is right. Fine. That needs to be addressed. But if I get on my computer and play a game, or I remember she said, or if I watch TV, can knock out. Okay. And so then she's like, why is that? And I answered her with a question. Why do you need distraction to then be able to sleep? Whereas if you don't have distraction and you're just with your thoughts and with your mind, you cannot sleep. And I said, and I don't want you to answer me that, but that's what you need to explore. And that's probably where therapy is going to come into play. Some cognitive behavioral sleep therapy, or maybe reading books about it. Because if people are like, I can't fall asleep unless I watch TV, or I fall asleep looking at my phone, it's because you're distracted and then you're able to fall asleep. It's not going to be efficient sleep. And you're more likely to then wake up a couple hours later. But if you just lay in your bed and you're just like alone with your thoughts and you can't sleep, that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. So there's a lot there. That's a rabbit hole, but we just opened the door to the rabbit hole and peeked in it real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
To support balanced orexin, you need a diet that avoids extreme spikes in blood sugar. Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, protein, having a good source of protein with every meal, having complex carbohydrates that have a good amount of fiber with them. Think berries, think potatoes, think rice. Not, not right before bed, I'm going to have, something like some chips or some cookies. Okay. Because that's going to spike your blood sugar. That signals to to your brain, oh, we have energy.
I'm getting ready.
Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now there's some, you get a lot of, some people say eat a lot of carbs before you go to bed,
I
and
said
it puts you down.
Extreme spikes in blood sugar.
Okay.
Now, if you're a very active person, there are yes, you need to eat some carbs to help you feel satisfied, to replenish glycogen stores before then you go to bed. Also, sufficient amount of carbohydrates can help with produce serotonin, which then melatonin, like Dan just said. And so
Also, people that work out later or early in the
Yeah.
morning, this with that.
So I want to say extreme spikes of blood sugar. I'm talking that what's something that causes extreme spikes? So orange juice.
A big old bowl of fruit by itself.
Yeah, big old, like say you swig some orange juice right before bed. Like something like that, okay? Or maybe you have some M&Ms before bed. So just try to avoid things like that. And also avoid not even just before bed, but throughout the day, because that's just going to mess up your orexin levels. And then you're like, well, if it happens during the day, it doesn't matter. But it does, because then it has consequences when it comes time to go to bed. Stress management. So manage your stress. That's just going to disrupt your sleep, independent of orexin, due to orexin, whatever. Because if you are still vibrating at night because you haven't managed your stress, how do you expect to go to sleep?
Yeah, and this could go either way because people will start talking, well, scrolling on Instagram helps me manage my stress.
That's the distraction.
And, well, not
And
only
you're
that,
dissociating from life.
and exactly. Dissociation, it's good to a level, but you can overdo it. And then what are you consuming on Instagram? If you're scrolling on Instagram and you're going to get on freaking, I don't know, some news page and start consuming all this rage bait and all this garbage, because then you're not doing yourself any favors. Even though you think you're distracting yourself, you're over there hyping yourself up with some garbage on TikTok or whatever the hell, and you're blue light bombing the crap out of yourself. Come on now, guys. Like that makes no sense, right? Now, so we need to be better at strategizing how to manage stress. And this is where self-awareness becomes an issue, and trial and error. You're going to have to try a lot of stuff, and it might work, it might not work. And understand trial and error is the underlying theme of your health journey. Okay? There are principles. Stress management. That's a principle. You have to do it. How does it look for her versus how does it look for me? It's going to vary. Now you have to strategize to adopt the principle and fit it into your individual lifestyle, right? I have 4 kids. I have 5 kids. That's stressful. Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with that so that you can work yourself down so that you can actually get some sleep so the next day you can wake up and be of value to your 5 kids without losing your hair, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of parents who, and this is different for everybody, but from some parents that I'm friends with, they make it so, everything's done that they need to do before they start to put the kids down. Meaning that when the kids go down for sleep, they can too, right? And then they have a whole bedtime routine for the kids to help bring them down. And at the same time, they'll simultaneously coming down. Now, I know other parents who once the kids are in bed, that's when I can do this, this, and this, and this. So it just depends on your schedule. But I know some parents who they're doing it for their kids and then they come down with them, right? And so that's a great thing to do. Stress management, like Dan said, trial and error. You have to figure out what works best for you. Some things that you can do is, journaling or just writing down a to-do list and a to-worry list. Like, these are the things I have to do tomorrow. These are the things I'm worrying about right now. Just get it out.
Everybody talks about this to-do list, to-worry list. You'll hear this advice from everybody. Guess why? Guess why you're going to hear that everywhere you look at for sleep management and stress management?
Because it works.
Because it freaking works.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So there's sometimes in the shower where I'm just kind of running through it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this. So I'll get out of the shower and go write it down. And then it's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who'll tell you that making a little before you go to bed. It's a before you go to bed.
Yeah, some people like to journal and they'll journal before bed, and that's not different. But some people are like, I don't like to journal. I don't want to journal. So then just write down a list or write down a couple words. Actually, writing down 2 words of how you feel in an acutely stressful situation can help calm down the amygdala, which amygdala is a part of your brain that's very reactive. So think if you're walking down the sidewalk and there's a hose that's just has never been there before and in a weird shape. And for a split second, you're like, snake, right? And then the logical part of your brain kicks in. You're like, hose, can move on. That's your amygdala. That's the, snake, all right? And because your logical brain was like, nope, hose, visual confirms it, you're done. But with other stressors, you can't resolve them that quickly. So I use this in the medical office that I was at. Previously, I had a big old white piece of paper on the wall behind my desk, and it was away from the patient room, so you couldn't see it. And the whole staff would come because I told them, write, when you're in an acutely stressed situation, come write 2 words of how you feel. It was very colorful, the language on it, but they would come, write it out, and then they would just feel better about it. I don't know if it was a placebo effect. I do think that there's a real thing happening, but writing is powerful. Yeah. Write down things. Day, night, whenever.
And not all of you might need this. I think this is very helpful for women specifically. Like, and I hate some dudes, because I know some guys that are warriors and they need this as well. So it works, guys. Do it. It works. If you are overstressing, definitely try this. Like somebody like me, I get in the shower at night and ideas will start coming to me and I should probably be writing them down. I get really creative. But because I'm a man, then I get out of the shower and I forget and I just go to bed. So if you're not like that, then this listing is for you.
Staying well hydrated. From just a very basic level, orexin's produced in the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus needs water, needs to be hydrated. I also read that if you have inadequate hydration during the day, I'm not talking about chugging water before bed, avoiding water, but adequate hydration during the day helps more efficient sleep. And so those of you who are surviving off 40, 60 ounces of water a day, I don't like the taste of water. I don't care. Grow up, do better. Like you need to drink more water.
Also, you said chugging water, pounding water, large quantities of water. Do what you got to do, but it's not a good idea, right? That's pretty stressful to the system. Flow. You need a steady flow of water versus I'm going to sit down and drink a gallon in the next couple minutes. Like, no, that's not good.
Wrapping up, like a little side thing that I looked at, because then I just started thinking, I'm like, well, then how does Ambien affect orexin? Because one of the side effects of Ambien is nighttime awakening to seek food, right? So that's food-seeking behavior, which orexin dictates. So I'm like, are they impacting each other? So I looked it up. So Ambien actually works on GABA receptors. There's actually no studies on how Ambien influences orexin, which this is a problem I have with pharmaceutical companies. And I'm sure there's like a bajillion studies you could do of all aspects of the brain. But when we start taking medications that mess with stuff up there and we don't even look at, I wonder how this impacts the natural wakening and sleeping cycle of our body and all the components of that, gives me pause. And so there's no studies to see if Ambien impacts orexin, but they hypothesize that Ambien may do something to orexin because of the nighttime driving, eating, buying stuff on Amazon. Like people do that.
If you're an Ambien and you're listening to this, this is your sign to get off the damn thing. Ambien is probably, especially my veterans, Ambien is extremely, extremely unhealthy, extremely controversial in what it causes. You hear the stories of people waking up in the middle of the night and going to buy booze. They didn't even know they did it.
You witnessed that, right?
They did. Yeah, these are military stories that they didn't even know they did it. Guys getting pulled over for DUIs. They thought they were asleep, but they're actually high on Ambien out driving. They didn't even know they did it. Going to the fridge, raiding the fridge in the middle of the night. They didn't even know they did it. Okay, this has happened. It's like sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Okay, super controversial stuff, and a lot. I don't understand why this stuff isn't more. Like Ambien shouldn't be on the market. Real talk.
I agree.
It shouldn't even be on the market anymore. This is crazy, and this is the problem with a lot of these studies. Now I'm on a soapbox because I heard somebody yesterday. Oh, but the studies show. First of all,
who paid for it?
Who paid for it? Damn it! If you don't believe that that's going to affect the outcomes of a study, you're. I want to use strong words. You're a dummy, okay? So that's one. Two, remember that a lot of these studies, the sole purpose of them is to bring a drug to market. So they're looking at solving a problem with a drug only. They're not looking at anything else. They're not looking at lifestyle. They don't care because they're not going to make money if they find that, hey, writing down stuff before you go to bed actually helps you sleep better. They're like, no, I'm going to solve this with a drug because that's what's going to pay me millions and millions of dollars. So that's all they're looking at, right? So when you start quoting studies supporting the use of pharmaceuticals, you need to look at a lot of context, right? And any study, really, any study, context, who paid for it, all of this stuff matters, right? Things like Ambien, that is not a solution to these problems.
Now, there's two drugs that hit on orexin receptors that I mentioned, Belsomra at the beginning. There's a newer one, Dayvigo. And basically, they just bind up the receptors of the orexin so that you just have, and I hate this wording because this doesn't sound attractive, reduced motivation to be alert and wakeful. And so the problem is that can spill over into the next day. And now you're fighting moving your body, being awake, which then doesn't give the body the correct feedback to say, hey, I'm awake during the day, I should sleep at night. And now, even though you're taking a medication that's sedating you, giving you a false sense of rest, it's now impacting your day and your wake cycle, which then will influence your night cycle. And so I don't think that I'm not a huge fan of sleep meds.
Yeah.
So
I don't, even me, somebody like, I think I've told this on the podcast when VA put me on trazodone to sleep. Nope, never again. Never again. And I know there's people out there that swear by it. They're like, oh my God, that's awesome. Nope, never again. I can't even explain to you how much that changed whenever I would take it, how different my days would be the next day. Oh yeah, I slept 10 hours, but now I'm dragging my butt through the day. Like the same regimented day that I would always have is out of the question. I'm being late. It's crazy. Night and day difference between not taking it and taking it the next day.
So why I like orexin and why I brought it up is because it ties in the fact that your nutrition influences your sleep very, very strongly. And so that's something that you need to take into consideration when you're having sleep issues. The other thing I like about it is that when you go and seek something for sleep, people always ask you, what's your bedtime routine? They ask you about what you're doing right before bed and during bedtime. Where if you look at what orexin does, it promotes wakefulness, movement, food seeking, stuff that you do during the day. I like this because I don't think enough attention is paid to what are you doing in the morning? What are you doing during the day? Because that is impacting your sleep. And that's missed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Observational, I said it earlier, low caloric states, chronically low caloric diets, which a lot of people are guilty for, even men, really affects your sleep.
Yeah.
And in women, that's the first sign that you're not eating enough is your sleep becomes super spotty. It hasn't failed me yet when I assess women and they tell me they don't sleep well. Okay, let's talk nutrition. Spotty eating every time.
And this to me, it didn't say this in anything that I read, but I would think that it just can make you more anxious, irritable at baseline, right? Because you have something in your brain where it's like, seek food, find food, seek food, find food. And so you're trying to do work and you're like, like, I got to do this. And somebody comes to ask you a question. It's like, shut up, don't talk to me. I'm like, so.
Then you mentioned exercise there. The type of exercise matters, guys. Oh my God. This high intensity obsession and burn it down type of workout every single day. The amount of people that do these types of workouts that are not reaching their health goals, but they work out a lot is incredible. And it's sad to watch. Volume, you don't need 65 HIIT workouts a week. You don't need, a lot of you guys don't need HIIT workouts, period, when we're talking about long-term health. You're not equipped for it. Your lifestyle does not support HIIT workouts, but you need to work out, right?
Yeah.
So we need to do something more measured. This is where highly structured strength training will always reign supreme. Good strength training, 2 to 3 days a week. Good aerobic base work, walking at a steady pace, getting your heart rate up into a controlled zone for 30 minutes at a time, maybe a little bit longer, is going to be way better long-term when you put the totality of that than doing 65 HIIT workouts a week. It'll do more for your body composition. It won't mess up your sleep, okay? Now you want to get into the combo of hellacious, I'm not going anywhere with my health, especially for women. It's the hypocaloric state, so low calorie intake. That's going to affect your sleep already. And then I'm going to put crazy HIIT workouts on top of that. I'm going to train for a high rocks with my 1,000 calorie a day diet.
Yeah.
I am going to do F45 6 days a week with my 1,000 calorie diet. I am going to do CrossFit 6 days a week with my 1,000 calorie diet.
Yeah.
I am going to go to Hot Works and do a spin class with my 1,000 calorie diet 6 days a week. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
You're not equipped for it. Like you need, so nutrition and the type of exercise you're doing are going to matter.
I even
Sleep
think
is an issue.
yes, regular exercise, but also regular movement, right? When we were when we were traveling, obviously we're in new cities, we're exploring, we're walking a lot. And we're pretty active people, right? But most modern day people don't walk as much as we can or used to, right? And I think one day from like hiking and then moving around, we walked over 30,000 steps. But that was probably like a day in the life of a person back in the day.
I hadn't walked that much since the military.
Right?
That was crazy.
And you felt it the next day.
Oh yeah, my little old bones. I was like, ooh, my legs did work.
And so if that's taxing on the body, and that's just walking, but you're doing like high rocks or CrossFit or F45 or burn boot camp, whatever, 5-6 days a week for an hour. I don't know. I just, walking's highly underrated. You just need to move more.
Yeah.
And
And listen to my mouth. Look at my face. Listen to my mouth real quick. I'm not saying don't do
exercise.
CrossFit. I'm not saying don't do high rocks. I'm not saying don't do F45. If you love that stuff so much, just understand that your approach has to be measured. Hey, maybe you need one high intensity workout a week, right? Because you can support and recover from that properly without throwing your sleep off and all this other stuff. And you're maximizing your nutrition. You're making sure you're taking in the proper amount and all this good stuff versus 6 of them. And watch how the changes come pouring in. Losing weight, changing body composition, that's all a stressor to the body, right? It's a good stressor. If we're not sleeping right, if we're not intaking proper nutrition, if we're running after 5 kids, now you have too much stress and your body's going to lock up, right? So you'll start losing from somewhere, okay? So just remember that. And usually women, it's going to be sleep. Men, eventually it'll be your sleep, but you'll start losing, you know what, men? Libido. That's the first one to go. So something to think about as we wrap up here.
Yep. Caring about stuff that you do in the morning, pay attention to that morning wood.
Yeah. Gentlemen.
Yeah. Spontaneous morning erections.
Yeah, that's
what
usually,
they're called.
It's funny because that's like the sign, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing great, bro. I just woke up with my little morning wood, boom, boom, boom. I feel good, Yeah, that's the sign. So we have that. Women don't have like, the flagpole. They don't have that kind of warning. It's a little bit different. We're so simple. It's like Toyota Camrys. It's like, oh yeah, I went to the garage, hit the boom, it turned on, and here I go and just beat the crap out of this Camry and do it again the next day.
All right, so that's what I have to say on that. And so with our company, Achieve the Lifestyle, sleep is one thing we take very seriously. So if you need either just like you want a discussion to hash out some sleep issues you're having, you were like, okay, how do I get a sleep study? How do I, develop a structured bedtime routine? Like something we can definitely help you with. So do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can shoot us an email at info@achievethelifestyle.com. Check out our website. You can contact us off that as well, achievethelifestyle.com, or slide into our DMs.
Where it go down.
On Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle.
Yeah, DMs on Instagram. No TikTok. Instagram, guys. We off the Chinese platform. Instagram. Okay? With that in mind.
Yep.
Anything else you want to close? Well, that's it, guys. I hope this was helpful to you. Share, like, subscribe. Definitely send this episode to one of your neighbors or friends that you know is having sleep issues. Tell them to listen in on this, and hopefully it helps them get right.
Yeah. Oh, and if you have any sleep issues, if you're on a sleep medication, if you're thinking about a sleep medication, if you clench your teeth, if you have low-level fatigue, anxiety, morning headaches, get a sleep study. Get a sleep study, and then think about getting a sleep study.
And the thing about this information is, don't keep this to yourself, guys.
No.
What are you doing? Share this. Share it. Send it to your mom. Okay? Send it to your neighbor. Be like, hey, you need to hear this. These people are talking some common sense, and you need this in your life. Okay? With that in mind, guys, that's all we have on this episode. Yeah. We'll catch you on the next one. Till then, I need you to work on your sleep and stay pharma-free. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram @Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website @AchieveTheLifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.